welcome to this video, which is all about stress. I'm so glad you're here. This video is going to break down how stress affects your weight, how it affects your health, and how it affects your mood. And everything I share on my channel is dedicated to helping people get more happy, healthy, and fit. That's what I do. And it is impossible to get happy, get healthy, and be fit when you are struggling with stress, which is why I felt compelled to make this video. Just about every single person on the planet is dealing with some level of stress right now, and it is impossible to eliminate it completely from your life. So I wanted to share some tips to help you manage stress and give you the insight as to how it affects you in a negative way, and then give you positive solutions that work as quickly as possible, because that's what I do. And in case you're new to my channel, my name is Christina Carlyle. I am a certified holistic nutritionist, sports nutrition specialist, personal trainer, health coach, and behavior modification specialist. And if there's one thing that I know to be true, that I could give you a meal plan and a workout that will work, scientifically proven to work. But if you are stressed, if you're too negative, if you're all up in your head, it will 100% not work as effectively as somebody who is positive and managing stress in proper ways. So I really wanted to make this video because I know that everybody's stressed out because of the time change. We just had daylight savings time at the time of this recording, also because we are getting into the holidays, and nothing will make you crazier than having your sleep affected, also having some holidays kick up, and also anything that affects your security. And that is because your metabolism is in place for your survival, and stress is in place as a beacon to let you know if your survival is in jeopardy. And things that affect your survival, i.e. your security, your sleep, your sanity, your mental health, your emotional health. And the things that affect security the most are your finances and also your relationships. And your relationships can be interpersonal. This could be coworkers, bosses, for example, teachers, clientele. And then we can get into more significant relationships, i.e. family members, relationships, whether they're sexual or not, and also children. But once your relationships turn sexual, the stress turns up like a million times more. And that's because love hormones work very closely with stress hormones. Also because of survival instincts, like I said. So this is how stress starts to really affect your metabolism, your health, and your mood, and really prevents you from being happy, healthy, and fit. And that's because your metabolism is in place for your survival. It is there to keep you alive, not necessarily to make you look good in your birthday suit. And a lot of people only think of the metabolism as fat loss and fitness, and that's not true. It is there to keep you alive, and stress activates survival instincts. So you may have heard of the terms fight or flight. There are actually 5 survival instincts: fight, flight, freeze, fornicate, and feast. Okay, so this is why you hear stress spelled backwards as desserts, because a lot of people, they can bicker with a loved one, or they can feel the need to just shut down. So if you've ever been in a fight with somebody and you just go silent treatment, that's why. A lot of people freeze. In that case, a lot of people just grab their keys and go. And sometimes if you're trying to fight and somebody just ups and leaves, that can cause more stress. But a lot of people really, truly just reach for something to self-soothe. This is why people have wine. This is why people wind down with foods and their treats after work, because they deserve it. And it literally feels like you do, because it's ingrained in your DNA and there's nothing you can do to escape it. So if it doesn't feel appropriate to fight, flight, freeze, a lot of people are reaching for something to self-soothe. And this is where emotional eating comes in. That's one way that stress can start to affect your weight, FYI. But stress can affect your weight just in general, because it affects and has a direct impact on your metabolism, and your metabolism's all the chemical reactions happening within you. So when you're too stressed out, cortisol is released as a response to help you choose the right F. Are we fighting? Are we flighting? Are we taking off? Or are we stuffing our face? Are we gonna go get it on? Okay. Now, cortisol is released in response to stress, and it's actually a good thing in small amounts, because it helps regulate blood sugar levels. It really helps to make your metabolism work properly. It's also involved with inflammation as well as memory. And imagine being in a stressful situation, you never get the memo that that's stressful. You'll repeat. Okay, well, a lot of people are repeating stressful patterns because they can't necessarily escape things that affect their finances and also their relationships. It's not like you can just get rid of your kids or your significant other like that in some cases, if that makes sense. So cortisol is a good thing, but too much cortisol, not a good thing. And that's because cortisol is catabolic. It breaks down. And with regards to fitness and fat loss and looking good in your birthday suit, it's really important that we are not exposed to too much cortisol because it will break down your protein. And when you start to lose muscle mass, you also start to see a decline in your metabolism. Now, that's just one way that cortisol can start to affect your weight. When you are too stressed, more cortisol is released. And when that happens, it becomes harder for you to absorb nutrients. It actually increases your nutrient requirements because when you're in the survival mode, you need more nutrition. But too much stress also increases nutrient elimination and excretion from the body. So you need more, but you can't use it. And you also eliminate it faster, even if you are choosing to eat healthful things. And this is why in all of my programs, I focus on stress reduction techniques first. So you have some tools in hand so that you can reduce stress and start utilizing nutrients properly. And another thing that I want to point out is stress really starts to affect your health. And it makes sense because you're no longer able to utilize nutrients. You absolutely have to have nutrients to have your metabolism functioning properly. I dive deep into this in my free metabolic training and analysis on my website. So if you haven't taken that yet and you have had some stress, I recommend checking that out. Another thing that I want to point out with regards to weight and fitness is that prolonged exposure to elevated cortisol levels can contribute to stubborn belly fat as well as stubborn back fat. So too much stress and cortisol levels that are elevated over a prolonged period of time can 100% change the way you distribute your body fat. Another thing that I want to get into is your health. So when you have too much stress, it can start to affect you in negative ways. Now, I already mentioned that stress is good in very small doses because it helps affect and regulate your blood sugar levels, your metabolism, also your mood, your memory, and it helps to regulate inflammation. But when you have too much stress, these things start to see dysfunction. Too much stress can actually cause inflammation all over your body, and inflammation is one of the leading causes of disease, so that's not good. Too much stress can actually lower your immunity because you're no longer absorbing nutrients properly. Not good. It can also lead to metabolic dysfunction, which can contribute to other metabolic diseases like diabetes. It can also just affect your mental and emotional health because when you're too stressed out, it is very common to see memory loss happen. It's very common to see irritability. So if you're always on edge and you can't remember anything, and it's little things like where are my keys and they're in your hand, things like that. Okay, well, those are some symptoms that cortisol may be elevated. If you have these symptoms, if you've already had a cortisol test or you don't feel like getting a cortisol test, you already know you have these symptoms and you've already felt burnt out, wired, and just tired and you're over it. Okay, well, I want to get into the solution. Just so you know, if you're watching this video on YouTube, I'm going to be referencing things that will help you. All of these things, resources and sources are going to be linked on my blog post that accompany this video. So if you are watching this from YouTube, make sure you pop in so you get the full benefit of this video as well as all the resources you need to get into the solution. Okay, so number one is you need to get some sleep. We need some deep sleep. Sleep is the number one way to metabolize, eliminate, and move through hormonal reactions that contribute to cortisol as well as inflammation. So it's really important that you do get some sleep. One crappy night of sleep can release 7 different hormones, including more cortisol. This is why a lot of people that have crappy night of sleep start to reach for things to get up to feel better. So if you're always in this constant pattern of reaching for things, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet hole, and sleep is the easiest way to get over it. It is important that you reduce things that make it harder to sleep. If you're staring at a screen all day, I definitely recommend wearing blue light blocking glasses. I also recommend melatonin. You don't need too much because when you have too much melatonin, that can make you groggy. And another thing that I want to recommend to you is getting tech out of your bedroom. And if you're sleeping with somebody that affects your ability to sleep, there is no shame in having separate bedrooms. This is for your health, for your life, for the best you that you can be. So there's no shame in sleeping in a separate bedroom. Just want to bring that up. Another thing that I recommend is oxytocin breathing. Oxytocin breathing is more appropriate for things like being stuck in traffic or being pissed off at the office or, being in line somewhere and you're just irritated or whatever. So if you're in a situation where you can't just get some R&R and get away and take a nap or just relax, I recommend oxytocin breathing because it releases oxytocin, which is the love hormone, and this starts stimulating that fornicate F that helps reduce the need to feast, also fight, take, flight, and freeze. So when we choose the right F at the right time, we can start to mitigate that stress, reduce the cortisol response. So to oxytocin breathe, it's very easy. You want to inhale for 8 counts, hold for 8 counts, exhale for 8 counts, repeat until you feel like you had an orgasm. You should kind of feel like you just hit a joint, got off, and also feel relaxed. Comes in a wave. This may take you a couple breaths. You may feel it right away. You may not. Just keep doing it until you feel it, and it will feel really good, and you will change your state without making the cortisol response escalate. The next tip that I have for you is to stay the heck away from food. I know you're going to feel that urge to feast. Stress, spelled backwards, is desserts for a reason. A lot of people feel the urge to consume sugar. And that's because when you're in the survival response, fight, flight, freeze, fornicate, or feast, the number one thing you want to feast on is glucose, sugar. And it doesn't have to be sweet to be sugar. This can be salty. This can be the chips, the potato stuff, the crackers, the pretzels, things like that. It's also very common to crave something else that has sugar or is made from sugar. This is where grains come in. This is also why a lot of people feel the need to consume alcohol, but alcohol has psychoactive effects as well as sugar, so you want to avoid consuming things when you are feeling stressed. I recommend breathing instead or getting some relaxation because, again, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet hole, and when you start to affect your digestion and adding inflammatory substances, i.e. sugar and alcohol, this is where you can really start to have a negative impact on your nutrient absorption, and it's like throwing propane on a fire, okay? So the next tip that I have for you instead of feasting is to choose fight or flight, and this is where I recommend exercise, and this is also why a lot of people feel the need to exercise, and they're like, I don't want to do that, and they freeze instead. It's because it feels stressful to them. It feels like it's activating their survival, so you have to choose the right F here. Exercise is an easy way to help you choose F, fight, and flight in a way that is actually appropriate for the situation. It can help you reduce cortisol and use cortisol to your benefit to build some lean muscle to mitigate the loss of muscle mass. So it's really important that you either exercise doing cardio, you can walk around your neighborhood, something light. I wouldn't advise anything overly intense because sometimes you can make it feel to your body like you're actually fighting. So this is where you want to do a low impact, happy workout where you're not flipping tires, trying to bench press a Buick or like jumping around like a hyper caffeinated kangaroo. And by the way, all of my workouts are designed to regulate and mitigate cortisol to prevent intensity that is too high that will affect your mood, affect your health and your cortisol levels in a negative way. And if you need workouts, well, guess what? I have literally hundreds of them available for you for free on my website. Pop on over. If you're already on the blog, check out the workouts tab and get to work. When you feel like you want to put your fist through a wall or when you just feel like you had a bad day, even if you don't feel like it, you're not going to feel like it because you're in that F to freeze. Do it anyway and you will feel a lot better when you're done. So my last suggestion for you is to swap things into place of things that stress you out. So this is people, places, and things that affect your feelings and your mental health in a negative way. You want to swap things in their place that are more beneficial for you, that do not cause you to go nuts. When you sign up as a VIP on my website, you're going to have access to my VIP section. It is a secret password protected section on my website that has printable resources that have swaps for you. This also includes exercises, workouts, and also things that you can use, tips, tools, tricks, resources, and healthy hack cheat sheets, as well as healthy recipe books. So if you are in the habit of craving something for sweet, you're going to have healthy dessert recipe books and tons of other tips and tools and things that will help you protect yourself before you wreck yourself. So that's all for this video. I hope you liked it. If you like it, please like it so I know. And if you think it's going to help somebody else, please share it. And if you don't want to miss next week's episode, subscribe now because I make a new video every week. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week and that I get to see you next time. Bye.